All right, here we go. We're on. Well, welcome to Meet Tina. Today's clip is going to be quite interesting to me. The subject is going to be about walk-ins. And I'm sure many of listeners may not have heard of this before. It's kind of like, I would say, rare stuff or rare situation that happen to any of us, any human, actually. But there's been more and more people start talking about now. And from what I know is that we begin, ever since Ascension Time, we begin to have more and more walk-ins coming to this earth. So with that said, I'm bringing one of my friends, Jenny Shang. She actually has a personal experience with the walk-ins. So she's going to be sharing her experience. She's going to be telling us about what type of walk-ins are there out there. This is going to be quite interesting, to many people who listen to this talk. So let's welcome Jenny. Well, hello, Jenny. Jenny Shang, how are you doing?
Good. I'm so glad that you called to ask about this talk about walk-ins because yeah, it really is extraordinary when it happens to you.
Yes, yes. And it's also very, I would say rare. And this is not
Yeah.
something that you see a lot on YouTube as well.
Oh,
If
yeah.
it many looks up, I mean, I've heard about walk-ins and I actually met a few walk-ins way in 2000, 2012.
Oh,
That's when
wow.
I actually met. And ever since then, I haven't met anyone yet. And so that's when I heard about it. And then I met Jenny during my cruise, just a month ago, not too long. And then we began to have this conversation about walk-ins. And then she began to share, her experience and said, just a couple of days ago we talked and we're like, Jenny, why don't you come on and talk about it? Because this is a very interesting subject and more people will be hearing about this. Oh, sorry about my alarm. Just to remind me, we have this interview here. So, but we're on already. So let's begin with that, Jenny. Just go ahead and share your experience, what you think about it, and has your life changed since you have this experience? Love to hear more. Yes.
So honestly, with me, I've had several lives in this life already. I would say I'm on like my third life already, I would say. And I never really understood why and what things happen. I've been a meditator since 2012, like you said. When the Mayan calendar changed, it was
Yes.
awakening. And that's when I first got my I could say I had changes before, but I wasn't aware. But that was like my first awareness because I was looking for a change in my life. And that's when I was gifted Jose Silvermine. And then I started meditating. And through my meditations, I would get downloads and I start shifting my purpose in life and things I wanted to do. And then I had a whole new tool. Whenever I had a question, I would meditate and I get downloads and answers. So that's where my journey all began after 2012. But what happened was I had a great shift in my life because I had just ended a relationship for 14 years, right when after I found Jose Silvermine and started downloading. And I
Mm.
broke up that last relationship. And then I was looking for love again. And sure enough, I found it following universal guidance at Burning Man. I met my twin flame, and
Mm.
I'm a Gemini, and he was also a Gemini. And as we literally met each other, walked the same path, and started sharing our life, he was the same soul in me, pretty much in a man's body. And that's exactly what I was asking for universal help, is to find my true love and twin flame, someone just like me with the same passions in life. Well, we had a great, amazing life for 5 years, and it abruptly ended while we were working out. And
Wow.
we were on the path to the next journey, which was to have children. That was one of my goals, and one of the things I shared with him when we met. We talked about our goals and what we're looking for in a partner, and we were in alignment. So we were trying to get pregnant, and we were working out. We're making sure we're healthy. However, from my past relationship, I started having endometriosis and adenomyosis, which is stomach
Mm.
issues and uterus issues. So I had a hard time getting pregnant. So
Mm.
uh, uh, I tried uterine artery embolization, which is a method to supposedly cure your endometriosis, but that didn't work. And
Mm.
then we had we tried fertilization, and that didn't work. And
Wow.
all that, something very magically happened is I got pregnant naturally. But I didn't even know I was pregnant. It was all going up to that moment we were working out. He suddenly told me, babe, I have some pressure on my chest and I didn't know what to do. And I didn't
Mm.
even know what a heart attack looks like. Well, apparently he
Wow.
was going through a heart attack. And literally my life turned upside down within 90 minutes. Like it went from thinking it was just babe rest, just lay down, meditate. And me, I feel bad because I didn't know what to do to help him. I thought it was just something that was going to go away. Well, it didn't. He even drove me home after that workout, and I feel so bad because I should have been taking care of him. But he actually came running downstairs and said, I called the ambulance and it's coming right now. And I was like, oh my God, this is serious. I have never dealt with situations like this. I didn't know what to do. I mean,
Mm.
besides my stomach issues, in general, my health was excellent. So I didn't know how it feels to be, not feeling well and having a heart
Mm.
issue. He didn't know he was having a heart issue. Anyways, the ambulance comes and basically whispers in his ear, in my ear. He didn't want to scare him, said he's going through a minor heart attack. And I know he heard it because he reached over and literally I saw his soul just get yanked out. I can feel it because I'm connected to him. And he just
Wow.
went limp. And then literally me and the guy carried him in a stretch table and took him on the ambulance and like hurried into supposedly the hospital that he was going to go to. They told me, but there was another very interesting thing is at the stop sign, he was supposed to turn right. That's the hospital he told me to go to. He stopped there for quite long and then made a left. And I knew that moment that his physical body was like flatlining because they
Wow.
had to change to a different hospital last minute. Then I lost them because they're just going through red lights at that point. Took me like an hour to go to the wrong hospital, figure where he's at, and go to the right hospital. And going there, literally, I saw the same guy and his head was down. I said, what happened? How is he? And he's like, no, he's not good, and then they sat me down and turns out the doctor came and he's like, I'm sorry, but he's gone,
Wow.
So I knew his physical body died in the ambulance. And I wish I was there with him. Like, I just didn't know how it played up to such like escalation within an hour, and death.
Exactly.
And he was only 39. Okay. But what I
Wow.
want to say about the walk-in is then I just was in the midst of half stepping in the other world talking to him and half in the current world, which I just didn't know what to do because we were connected. So I'll tell you what happened while I held him in my arm. The very last moment when the guy said that, he's having a minor heart attack. Literally the moment before I had said to him, I said, babe, I love you and I will be with you forever, for the rest of our lives. And I had that like connection right before his soul got yanked out. And I started hearing him talk to me on the other side, which was the craziest thing. And the first thing he said, babe, I'll be back in a new body to find you. And that was
Wow.
like, okay, what does that mean? Right.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is happening so quick. My brain was processing. I didn't know what to do. I've never dealt with death. Okay. I've never
Mhm.
been to a hospital. I've never, knew what that entailed. It was a big shift in my life. But after that, I remember just time just started being not there. I had no time and space. I was in this imaginary realm where we were just communicating. I'm like, babe, where are you? What are you doing? Um, how is it to be in the afterlife? And he just kept on sending me messages like we were chatting like we usually talk. And he's like, babe, don't worry. Where I'm at is beautiful. They took me away and said this had to happen, showed me the future, showed me my options, and said, I have an option to come back in a new body to find you, but just be patient. And they're feeding us right now. It's so crazy. Like I started seeing all these things, and meanwhile, in this life, his family was amazing. His dad came, his brothers came, all the family came, made sure we ate because the last
Mhm.
thing I do is eat. So I didn't even want to eat. I was just like in shock. But the whole time, literally, I was closing my eyes. It looked like I was sleeping, but I was talking to him, like trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And I remember still crying the next day. And, the person's no longer there. It's such a shock when one day they're there, the next day they're
Of
gone.
course.
And then I remember thinking, okay, well, okay, so I know the universe is definitely taking care of me, because a year before, I wanted to understand death, and sometimes I tell people, be careful what you're asking for, because you may just get exactly what you want. And I hear him saying, babe, that's what you wanted to know about death. You want to go through what it feels like, the experience and everything. And I'm like, yeah, but not in this way, but he's like, well, that's the best way to learn, right? And I'm like, yeah, you're right, And so literally the day before he passed, I was watching Sadhguru talk about death and how the Passover works and everything. And then when that happened, I'm like, okay, now I got to see it in person. I got to feel it. I got to hear it. And then afterwards, what happened was, a year before, I had set up a spiritual retreat. That was that Thursday. He died Tuesday at around 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m., right? And so the next day, which was Wednesday, I immediately called the lady who was running the spiritual conference. We were supposed to go to like someplace in the mountains for this retreat. And it was all about spirituality, transitioning and everything, right? Death. And I called her crying, and I'm like, oh my God, my husband just died. So I don't know what to do, but I have a lot of questions for you, because he talked to me about the whole idea of coming back in a new body and find me. And I had no clue what that meant, because coming from a Chinese culture, I understand reincarnation, but reincarnation goes back to the baby and they have to start all over. And I'm like, how do you do that? I'm not going to deal with the baby. And so she was like, oh, I'll just refund your money, don't worry. And I'm like, no, I need to see you right now. And ironically, I was also with another very spiritual friend, and I ended up going to her house because we were going together, and we drove straight to the teacher's place. And she was still actually in the middle of a class. I remember I said, okay, I need to ask you one question really quickly before anything. I need to know this, because my husband on the other side just said he'll be back in a new body to find me. What does that mean? And really quick answer. She's like, oh, he'll be back in a walk-in. And that was the very first time I heard about walk-in. I was like, what's a walk-in? The first thing I'm thinking, like, at a barbershop, you walk in, right? Like we're often walk-ins.
Right.
And then I started hearing the word walk-in everywhere I go, because now I got the awareness, right? I'll be going to like some store and they're like, oh, you're a walk-in, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm a walk-in. And then, yeah, so interesting. And one thing led to another. So all through the spiritual retreat, it was beautiful, because I got to release all my, frustration, anger, fear, everything that I just went through literally on Tuesday. And I remember looking at the mirror, because we were trying to have children, but I didn't know I was pregnant. And that weekend, I started having symptoms. And I wanted to throw up. I was feeling nauseous. And I was looking in the mirror. And at that point, I was still really connected to my husband. And I would look at him in the mirror, even looking at myself. And I hear him say, babe, you're pregnant. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, you're pregnant. So I did a test that week. I was pregnant. So I was pregnant for 3 months. But by that time, I was like, you know what? Life is short. I kept on telling him the whole time, I'm like, babe, I don't want to have this baby without you. That was not the plan. We had an agreement. Like, we literally had a vision board together. We decided how our kids are going to look like, how our family values are, what kind of kid we're calling in, everything. We had everything set up. And I'm like, okay, this is not the picture I painted. And I'm not going to be a good parent because I'm doing it alone. And I just don't want it that way. Right. And so anyways, I'm traveling with this group. Right. And we were going to Ireland. And this is interesting. In Ireland, I was still in the search of walk-ins. And so there's the question. I started wondering, what is a walk-in? And at that moment, like I said, there's not much information on walk-ins. However, I managed to find some articles about walk-ins. And what they were saying is that since 2012, our ascension has sped up enormously. The speed has been much faster. And so souls don't have to go through the baby process and start all over. They're able to find existing bodies and to merge with them. And that's a walk-in. And usually it happens in situations where you go through some kind of trauma, some kind of accident, where you might get a sickness, or you're in a hospital, or you're meditating, where you're deep in thoughts, where you get soul searching and it just joins the body. And that person will also shift to another person's energy, and that's a walk-in. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. So I managed to like conjure up all these articles and YouTube, because I was just laser zoomed on what a walk-in is. And ironically, and I know this is not ironic, but it's the universe, right? So that day I was supposed to roommate with some lady that I've never met on this Ireland trip. And I know universe and angels will speak through people in mysterious ways. So randomly, I spoke to the lady organizing it. I said, who's my roommate? And she actually pointed the wrong lady to me, but just somehow said, it's her, go talk to her. So I knew it was universe, and later finding out she wasn't the right lady, but she gave me the right information.
That's
so
funny.
we literally sat across from each other, and she can see spirits. And right away, I said, okay, we just started just randomly talking. The first thing I said, I'm here because my husband passed and I feel like I need to be here for some reason, you know? And then she just started just talking to this thin air, and he's like, what's his name? And then I said, Anthony. And he's like, oh, hi, Anthony, how's it going? And he just started talking to him as if he was there. And I'm like, you can see him? He's like, yeah, I can see him, he's here. You know, and we're chatting. And then I said, look, I'm here because I really want to know what's a walk-in, you know? And then she looks at me and she's like, oh, I know all about walk-ins. I just came from the walk-in convention.
Oh, that's funny. Huh.
Exactly. I'm like, well, then you're
Maybe
the right
something
person.
is not common. And then she's telling you about convention. This is bizarre. Yes.
It is. That's why I said nothing is coincidence. It's synchronicity, right? Universe just kept on talking to me through different people. And then as we were talking, we felt so connected that there was a moment I said, what's your birthday? And then she said May, and I said, you're the same birthday as me. And I said 23rd, and she's like, yep. And like I was like, wow, we're twin too, and we're just like so connected, and we had a great time. And then she mysteriously said, I hear Anthony says that you two are here to help me, and so I can help you. And I was like now at this point, my life has been just magical ever since my husband passed, and like on a whole different realm. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what I can help you with, but I'll try. And then she's like, what do you do? And at that time, I just finished HMI, the same school that you and me went to.
Right, which is hypnotherapy. Yeah, just for the audience.
Yeah, and so she's like, you want to do some hypnotherapy on me? I'm like, sure. And I was literally scared because I don't know what was going on, but I just believed in Anthony. And Anthony said, yeah, you can help her. I'm like, okay. So we go in our room and literally we did a session, and it was beautiful, amazing. I didn't know how I do, because I know when I help people, I actually just channel universal energy. Like even with this talk, I just said, universe, just let the knowledge that needs to be known be shared. That's it. I don't think too much about it. I just blah, you know. And so same thing there. We sat together, shared a beautiful night, and the next day she thanked me. She's like, oh my God, you helped me release a lot of trauma and figure out a lot of things that has been getting stuck. And he's like, thank you, Anthony, and thank you, Jenny. I'm like, you're welcome. and then that night I was still meditating. I was like, okay, so where's this convention, right? She talks about, and I hear a voice that just ask her. And so I texted her that night, and she just gave me all the websites and everything. And that took me to the next journey, which is where I met Mary on a cruise run by Joan. And then there's this other lady. She also does walk-ins. I can't remember her name right now. But there was another cruise with Cryon. You know Chiron, right?
Yes, yes, I know
Tina?
Cryon. He's been around for a long time. So just in case for the audience who don't know, Cryon is one of the old timer, like channeler. He's like one of the pioneer channeler, the same as what's his name? Bashar. Yes.
Bashar.
Bashar, yes. So they were at the same time, in that it's just the first generation, of awakening group. Mary is the one that was on interview on my channel before, but Jenny can share with what's going on with what she wants to share. So, all right. So you went to Cryon's spiritual retreat
Cruise.
or the cruise.
Cruise.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
apparently a lot of people there were all walk-ins. So I got face to face to meet with all other walk-ins. And as more that I talked to him, I was starting to meditate and realize I have been a walk-in. And then my husband's definitely a walk-in too. And
Okay.
so like
So when did you figure out that you are a walk-in as well? Like, do you feel any difference? So I'm sure some of the audience probably like asking the same question. Like, when
so
did
for
you know when?
example, yeah, so the walk-in, I realized it during the trip because the more I get information what the walk-in is, then I start look at my past history. So I think the first time I had a walk-in was when I had a near-death experience. I had hurt my back, L5S1 disc trauma through gymnastics. And literally while doing a move, I felt lightning strike through my body and I couldn't walk. And for like 10 years, I was searching a cure for how to fix it because I didn't want to do the surgery route. And one thing led to another, and I was guided to do prolotherapy. That literally changed my life. But at this time, this was back when I was in my 20s, that's 20 years ago. So back then, prolotherapy was not a common treatment, and you
Can
had
you
to go to
explain what that therapy is just for the audience? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
prolotherapy started in World War II, and
Mm-hmm.
it's sugar solution called dextrose. And because they cannot patent sugar solution, so most doctors don't do it, insurance don't cover it. Honestly, anything that works, insurance doesn't cover it. And
Right.
very specialized doctors do it. And so the dextrose solution, it's just a basic sugar molecule, goes into your tendons. It boosts the tendons to regrow back to 90%. They've done studies without any surgery. Because when you're a kid, usually you can recover 90, 100%. But when you're 20, 30, the recovery ability is lower, maybe 60 and 50. So with dextrose solution, it boosts back up to 90%. And so back then, think about it, during World War II, the soldiers need to go out and fight immediately. So they don't have
Right.
time of surgery and recovery time. So they just inject them with dextrose, and then within 3 days, they're back out again.
Wow. I don't think a lot of people know about that. I didn't
Most
even know about
people,
that. Yeah.
yeah, I
This is
know about it,
incredible.
and it was through a download. Anyways, but to know about that, I had to go through hell because
Okay, that's another situation
that's
there.
that's
Okay.
another story. So universe told me to do that, and I found this doctor, and I was young in my 20s. So I asked the doctor, I was like, how many times have you done this procedure? He's like, well, you're the sixth patient. And me being so trusting and fun, I'm like, oh, that's good enough. Six, I'll be your sixth. Let's go do it. Not knowing he was not really specialized in it. Let's put it that way. That day, he put me on the table, ejected me. I felt like it's 50 injections in my lower back. Well,
Wow.
there was lidocaine, and I didn't know I was very allergic to lidocaine.
Oh
But
my.
also, what he did was he injected right in my central nervous system. And so all of a sudden, after he said, we're done, I was about to get up, and oh my God, my world started shutting down. My heart
Whoa.
started going lower and lower. And I went into the other side again. My spirit got pulled out, and I had to tell my body to function. I was telling my heart to beat, please beat, because it was just going lower and lower, and it just flatlining. And
Wow.
I had to coach my heart to beating. But during that time, I was on the other side doing a very serious negotiation. So apparently, up to 20, I
Who
was
did you do,
partying.
who did you do negotiation with?
universe, God,
Yeah.
whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. Because what happened was up till 20s, I was going to raves, partying, doing drugs, rock and roll, just hardcore, you
The
know.
truth came out, guys.
Oh yeah.
Or
So
has,
and I know it, right?
mm,
And I think universe was like, okay, you're going the wrong direction, Jenny. Right. So there's a universe that come into my office. We need to talk. That's what happened. So I had a near death experience. And literally in that moment, you know how they say you have a life review? That
yes.
was where I was doing on the other side while my body
Okay,
shut
well,
down.
share with us how live review was like, because I'm sure some
It
of the audience would
literally,
love
your
to know.
whole world is running like a movie within seconds. And it's like, I knew didn't say goodbye to my boyfriend at that time. I didn't tell anyone I was doing this procedure because I used to just do things without telling anyone. My parents didn't know I was here. Nobody knew. And so for that moment, if I had to die, literally, I was like, no, I can't. I have so much things I want to accomplish, and I haven't even said goodbye to my family. No one even knows I'm here. I'm like universe, I can't leave like this, right? So I was negotiating, and basically everything that happened to me just all popped up, the good and the bad, the things I haven't done, unfinished business. And I'm like,
All the
no, I can't.
parties. Mm.
No, that was not on there. Yeah, no, it's important things in life, you know,
Yeah.
things that
Mm,
true love valued, right? And
mm,
so that moment, I made a deal. I said, universe, if you let me come back, I will do your work.
mm,
I will stop thinking about my work, but I will do your work. Whatever you tell me to do, I will follow. Like that was the
mm.
agreement. And literally, once that agreement was made, boom, I felt my heart start coming back, beating. And then, like,
Wow.
literally, that moment I was on the other side, I explained to people it's like watching a black and white TV set that's half broken when the antenna is off and you see, all those static lines. That
The
was
old
me
TV, yes, yes.
seeing into this reality. I was stuck in the TV because the whole time I can see the doctors coming back and forth. They were freaked out because I had turned purple and I wasn't moving. I was just like this.
Wow.
And I can see them running in and out saying, "Oh, what can I do?" Da, da, da. And I couldn't talk. My mouth was like, I was
Wow.
stuck. And then my vision was just like TV screen going static. But I couldn't do anything because my heart stopped.
Right.
And there was the craziest thing when I made the commitment and came back. It's as if the TV was back into normal. The screen is clear again. And by that time, the doctor had ran in and said, the ambulance is coming.
He was like,
Don't worry.
yeah.
Yeah. But interesting is at that time, I didn't have insurance. I was young and I wanted to literally run because I was like, I don't want the ambulance to come because that's another $6,000. I was like, no, right? And so literally
Mhm.
I tried to jump up. I couldn't walk. Like I was so limp from
Yeah.
being gone. And I remember first thing I did was slowly walk to the bathroom, and then I looked myself in the mirror and I was purple and blue because I had no
Wow.
oxygen. And then I was like, oh my God, I looked in the mirror. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? I look like a zombie, but I'm alive. And then I walked
Yes.
back to the office. And then I remember first thing I did is look at the clock, and it was 20 minutes. And I was like, wow, it felt like a lifetime I was on the other side negotiating. But in this time, it was 20 minutes. And then literally the ambulance did come. And I remember keep on asking him. I said, "What happened? What happened?" And
Right.
basically he said the lidocaine hit your central nervous system and shut down your system. It's like a
Mm.
computer. We're electrical. When the electrical system gets shut down, all function stops.
Right.
And I was like, "Holy smokes!" But you see, when my husband died, I thought everyone was like me. I was like, but I was gone for 20 minutes and I'm still alive. And then I was asking the doctors, he's like, Jenny, in regular people, it's 6 to 7 minutes. If your heart stops, you're clinically dead. Like,
Right.
no, but
So for
yeah,
you,
he,
it was
he
20 minutes.
20 minutes, I was gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I
So
came back.
you definitely has a NED. Is it NDE? Yeah, NDE, near
Yeah, that
death
was my
experience.
near-death
NDE. Yeah.
experience.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that was my walk-in. That was when it happened. Because when I came back, I was, even though I went through all that, no health issues. I was asked if I was perfectly fine. That never happened.
So now, how do you know your old Jenny? Is it because your old Jenny left and the new Jenny came in, walk in?
Okay, so let's get to that. So then I asked a lot of questions. Walk-in has many types. So
Yeah.
the ones that they talk about in the Cryon cruise with the walk-in, Joan and the other lady, I can't remember. Anyways, they talk a lot about walk in and walk out, which one
Mm.
soul comes in and the other soul leaves. And in those type of walk-ins, because they had a lot of walk-ins themselves, they literally don't remember much of the previous soul's problems. And it's as if
That
like,
one body, that same body has a lot of walk in and out.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Well,
Mm.
sometimes it happens once, sometimes it happens multiple times. But just in that type of walk-in, it's one soul leaves and one new soul enters. And they say a lot of times the people around them don't even recognize them because they
Yes.
don't have memory of the past soul. It's as if all of a sudden a new life has begun in the same body. And that's what happens to a lot of walk-ins, but mine was not that type of walk-in. So
Yeah, you
after
remember.
so after consulting with Anthony on the other side and meditating, I come down to the conclusion there's three types of walk-in. One
Okay.
is walk in and walk out, where they're two different souls, and a lot of times the new soul has no memory of the old souls.
Mm.
And the second type is what I call merging, soul merging, when two souls merge into one soul, so they retain the memory of both. However, it's almost that there's sometimes like multiple personalities. Certain situations will trigger one soul's memory and act a certain way. In other situations, they will activate the other soul's memory and have a different personality. So what I
Oh
learned
boy.
is
Hmm.
Anthony, my husband, was more of a soul merge. And the reason why I say that is when I met him that day at Burning Man, we instantly connected. We became, close and a pair. And that was one thing I always noticed when I meet his family and his friends. They would say, Jenny, you did something to Anthony because he's not the same Anthony we remember. This new Anthony is fun, amazing, powerful. The old Anthony was like stick up his ass, always in a bad mood,
Is he listening, Anthony? Is he
depressed.
listening right
Oh,
now?
he knows.
Oh,
So
that's
the
hilarious.
more I think about it is he had a soul merge. And I'll tell you, my type of walk-in is the third type. It's called soul braiding. And soul braiding happens very gradual for meditators. As you meditate and up level and you get downloads, you are braiding into a whole new person. And to me, soul braiding is the most successful, you could say, and the most stable type of walk-in because it is you going up the level, doing the
It's like
work.
you are merging with your higher self at a different level. So as you meditate, and this is from what I understand, as you meditate, you go up a level with your consciousness, and that's when you're merging with that level of the higher self in that level of awareness, right?
You
So
got
as you're
it.
progressing up, that's when you become one with each level of your higher self, which is good. That's the way it should be now. It's interesting because you're right about that because I met the first one and I met the second type. I met the first type and I met the second type. The first type does not remember all her past. She know for sure that she's a walk-in. She even told me that. And sometimes she get confused because but then the second one, definitely she also got confused too, you know. And maybe some come across a different personality as well. But they know they're walk-ins. So interesting. Yes.
So there you go. From what you tell me, they might be walk in and walk out or a soul merge.
Yeah, yeah. So that sounds like those two types. It's interesting. And you came out with your own understanding of these three types.
Yeah, because I kept on asking. Because when I started meeting all these walk-ins, they were all different. And their experience were all different from mine. And so
Yeah.
I kept on asking, what's going on, universe? What type? How this differentiate? Because I come from a very scientific background, and I like everything with answers and understanding and categories and differentiation and distinctions. So yeah, those are the three I came down to.
Mhm.
And yeah, like my husband, I loved who he was when I met him, but there were certain times his old self would come out, his grumpiness, his like, stick up his ass personality. And I'm like, who the heck is this person? And then as he was on the other side, that's when I realized, oh, he was a soul merge where
Mm.
some days is this, some days is that. He can't even control it. And then when you ask him why were you a certain way, and he's like, what are you talking about? I don't remember that.
Well, that sounds like a bipolar type personality, isn't it?
And it could come out as that for soul merges.
So when that coming to that, I mean, we could come into a conclusion that some of these people that who are bipolar could also be soul merging with another soul, but not
you
knowing that because, right?
you brought up a very good point, because I used to work with homeless people and I work with mental people, and I believe some of them may be walk-ins and they're not aware.
You know what's funny? You brought this up as well because I actually ran into with this, some of you may not know I'm a metaphysical teacher, a healing teacher. And one of my students actually, I mean, I knew her from the beginning of her journey, but when she began to experience her inner world, uh, she experienced a lot of stuff on the other side. And that got her confused because it got to the point where she would meditate a lot for hours and hours. She would be in the world most of the time, in a hypnotic state, very, very deep theta state, or even almost delta. And she would get confused as she come out the meditation because she can't separate the difference. She'll come across as someone, I would say, if in the medical field we'd be calling a schizophrenic, you know? Yeah. But she's not. At first I was just kind of like, "Ew, how she's," and she even said, am I crazy? Am I going crazy? I don't remember. But because I watched her the whole journey from the beginning and knowing her for many years, she's consciously aware of everything. She just gets so confused through her personal experience of, you can call it the other world, the other unseen world that, most of us cannot pierce that veil and see or even understand. So we would label them as crazy, schizophrenic. So it began to make me think that some of people that you think is crazy in a crazy home, they're not.
Yes, I agree with you. That's one thing I started understanding, because
You
they may
start to
be talking
understand.
on the other side to some imaginary spirit.
They actually have that experience
Yeah.
because I know they actually have that because everything she said and she brought it back, it happened here time after time, even years down the road. you know, but because I watched her from day one, and I knew her before she even got into this journey, and even up until today, I know she had that experience. You can call it a very, very we call that a very powerful psychic or intuitive, you know? She can
Yeah, or
read
you can call
minds.
it crazy.
Yes, you can call it that other way around because she can read your thoughts. I'm not kidding you. She read my thought, my mind all the time. And I go, holy crap, she's thinking all the time. I can't hide my thoughts from you. She said, I see it up above your head. It comes into all this, you know, images, and she understood everything. And I was like, oh my God. So, wow, okay, then let's continue on, Jenny, with so now you say your ex-husband said that he will come back as a walk-in. Did he say when and how you would meet and why he wants to do that? Yes, I know you guys have this great love and connection. Uh, is it because of walk-in? You guys have contract to have this experience? I mean, all I know, Jenny, is like a lot of people wanted to come down here. right now at this time, during ascension time. So there's a lot of soul wants to come in, but there's not enough body. According to Dolores Cannon, my
Mm.
teacher, she said that there's not enough human body for all the soul who wants to come in at this time. And this is an important time. So is this could be something that happening to you or even your ex-husband that who wants to come back as a walk-in? Because usually those are the ones that are very spiritual, uh, very spiritually connected and really focusing on this journey in a healing journey, you know, uh, um, like wanting to do God's work, you can call that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just know from my life, when things are meant to happen, it's going to happen regardless whether you choose it or not. It's all about
mm,
resonance and frequency. So, as you say, there might not be enough bodies. It's not about the thought of scarcity. It's about the idea of abundance, meaning when your body has the right resonance of what your soul is, it just goes
yeah,
together.
true, true. The matching picture. Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
so I don't think there's a worry of whether there's enough bodies or not when it's the right timing, when it's the right place. Like how I met him was like, it's just Zoom. We didn't know each
Right.
other. We actually lived just 15 minutes away from each other, and yet we met at Burning Man, which is Black Rock City, Nevada. And
That's
I just
funny.
had a thought that I wanted to take a shower, and there was this thing where you go to the car wash, and we all wash each other, sharing, a connection. It's not sexual; it's more of a communal activity. And I wanted someone to go with me, and I didn't even know he was there. I was actually asking if their girl wanted to go. It was a camp that I didn't know anyone. Universe sent me there. I needed to be there at that right time. And I actually wanted the girl to go. And I said, who wants to come shower with me? I'm going to go to the car wash. And she actually looked up and said, nah, not my thing, not interested. And then this random guy in the back that I didn't know who he was hunched down, like half asleep, and he heard car wash. And he's like, hey, I'm gonna go with you. And literally that moment we walked together, he went to the same school as me, went to the same major as me, like the same thing as me. And then on my way home, like I gifted him like a ring after a couple days. And he's like, Jenny, did you take the ring out of my house? I'm like, dude, I don't even know where you live. And then he's like, I have the same exact ring in my house. And I said,
Wow.
where did you get it from? And he said, Hawaii. And I said, this is where I got my ring from, Hawaii. I tried to gift it to my ex-husband and he didn't like it. They gave it back to me. So he's like, oh, I love this ring. You see what I'm saying? It's like if the right guy comes along, it's just
Right.
gonna happen. And I don't even date. And that's why I really trust universe is when it's
Right.
the right place, the right time, it will just show up.
Absolutely. It's always, I think, oftentimes a lot of people are trying to search for the right, perfect match person. But I think by looking so hard for it, you're not attracting that at all. You gotta let times, let universe connect you at the right time. And I believe that, a lot of people just go about the wrong route, wrong way, you know. So wow. Now, one thing, Jenny, because you share a lot about near death experience and your ex-husband passed. It's all about death. And you told me that you were extremely afraid of death before, but now it's all gone. And death is one of the biggest fears that all human has. Death is number one fear. So to get rid of that, you have that experience. How did you kind of get rid of that or eliminate that fear? Because I'm sure some of the audience may benefit from that.
So honestly, I guess reason why most of us are fear is the fear of unknown, I think, and the fear
Yes.
of this limiting small little life we had that is going to all disappear and everything that we worked for is a waste and didn't mean much. I think that's at the core of most people's fear, and the fear that you'll miss someone, you'll never see them again, right? So for me, after going through all this, especially the moment that soul got yanked out of my husband, and yet I was still connected to him, talking to him, sharing as if he's right next to me. Literally, I have dreams and he's coming in my dreams and we're having intense talks. I realized the spirit never dies. And I had a very strong understanding that it's like water. Water can turn into ice, can turn into steam. It just
Mm.
changes form. And that's what our spirit does. Once his body finishes using up the cellular structure that it has and it dies, it just goes, yanks out, roams around wherever it goes to different universes, and then will come back and manifest as material again, you know, in a new body or whatever it chooses, whatever it has a contract with, you know,
I like that. Mhm.
and that's really, once I got that, there is no death. Energy never dies.
Exactly.
Energy just
Exactly.
changes form. And
Right. I
once
like
you
that
get that,
water. Mm-hmm.
there's really no fear. We're
Mm-hmm.
always there for our friends and our family. The memory's always there. And even when you go into a new body, you still have memories of all the lives of the past. And that's really why people ask me, why do I meditate? Well, let me ask you, if you have the ability to take every single memory from all your lives, you're going to be a genius. Wouldn't you want that? I do. That's why I meditate. Like if I come across something I don't understand, I go deep in my meditation and I have a conversation
Mm-hmm.
with my higher self or my past life that I was a doctor or my past life when I was a scientist. And I'm like, okay, I need a meeting because I need to figure out how this works in this life. And then my higher self will give me all the information and I wake up and I'm like, ding, ding, and boom, I'm researching, I'm doing homework, and I get all the information. You're way more powerful than limiting, thinking you're this little life with only 40 years or 100 years and you're gone and nothing ever exists ever again. That's actually kind of dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, speak of meditation. How long have you been meditating, a meditator? And what benefit would you want to share with the audience? How does it change your life, really? Because
Well,
we know there's a lot of people who meditate for a long, long, long time. Nothing ever happened to them. I
yeah.
mean, I met a lot. I personally talk to my higher self, so I totally get what you get. I get downloads and all that stuff as well. So I totally get that. But I'm really surprised that there are many meditators that meditate for a long time and they never have any out of the world experience like downloads and all this stuff. And why is it that?
And
Do you
you're
have any?
right. You are exactly right. And I've thought about that. Well, for me, first of all, you have to get the right program, I feel like. For me, being a scientific background, I feel like I have done past life regression. I have
Hmm.
been with my husband as scientists in our past life. I've been in Egypt as prince and princess in the past life. So we've been many lives together, first of all. And so even in this life, when I was looking for a meditation program, I wanted something scientific. And
Yeah.
what was given to me when I asked was 2012. At the end of the year, I talked to the moon one night and I said I wanted a new life. And then while I was at a set, my hairstylist was a crystal lady. She loves crystals and energy. And she just out of the blue, we were having a simple conversation and said, have you heard of Jose Silvermine? Have you, Tina?
Oh God, it's been around for a long, long time. Very popular, very famous. Yes, of course.
So
Since what
I
the
didn't,
90s, the early 90s, I've heard of them already.
so
Yes.
I've
And
never
I
heard of her.
actually wanted to take their class and things like that. They were very popular at one time. Very, very popular. Yes. Mhm.
So I didn't know about it, but the moment she said you should do it, and I said, "Is it like the Matrix where you can bend the spoon?" And she was like, "Pretty much, you can." And that was it. I was like, "I'm doing it if I can bend spoons with my mind." And literally, I'm not an addictive personality, but oh my god, I was addicted. I got the program from us Silver Mind Valley. Mind Valley was the one that was promoting the
Yeah,
sisters
Mind
course.
Valley has been promoting a lot of silver. Yes, yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
so that's where I downloaded. But literally after I finished that program, I just knew there was more. Through my downloads, I had an out of body experience. Literally the first time I meditate, I floated out of my body and I was talking to my mom in Hong Kong. And then I came back and I was like, wow, holy smokes. Mind you, I used to take a lot of drugs. I know how it feels to be high and euphoric. And I'll tell you, there is no as high and euphoric as meditation. And that was my new drug, you know, and I was like, wow, this is powerful, you know, and that really changed my life. And after I meditated, it said, you need to keep on looking. There's more to this program. And literally, I was connected to the next program, which was well, there's Silver Mind and then there's Ultra Mind. Silver Mind was promoted by the sister of Jose Silva. He had like 10 kids. Ultramind was kept by Jose Silva Jr. He wanted to keep more of dad's original stuff, so he created Ultramind, which was the advanced course. And I ended up meeting with Kathy Watson. At that time, was the leader, basically spreading Ultramind. Mind Valley wasn't even doing it at that time, but when I found Ultramind, it just completed my meditation series. It just took me to the next level. And for the longest time, I kept on seeing Veshna still talking about Silvermind. I'm like, when is he gonna get up to Ultramind? And sure enough, during COVID, he finally got Ultramind.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think he
I
finally.
guess he had to find something new, you know?
Yeah.
Because Silva has been around for a long, long time. It's very popular. I mean, and because back then everybody talked about Silva, but Mind Valley, I haven't heard him because I haven't listened to Mind Valley for a long time. But that guy is very
Oh yeah,
intelligent, and
he is
yeah,
all into all different methods, and he's the platform, which is very important. We need to share
yeah.
this information now. But yeah, with so what I like, okay, you asked a question, why do I meditate? Number one is what I just mentioned, the ability to, you can call it time jumping in and
Yeah.
out of time to get whatever information you need.
Some call quantum jumping because I think quantum jumping used Silva method too. The
Yeah,
guy who
yeah.
originated this method
Yeah,
did.
so I do that to be able to get information from all the historical, future time, past time,
Right.
just get it here so I can use it, right? And a lot of people say, how you do what you do? Because I don't do what people do. I'm not a normal person. Normal people have to do things the hard way.
You're
I'm like,
definitely
no.
not normal, Jenny. I mean, the short time I knew you, this girl, I'm telling you, I met her like what, last month on a cruise to Iceland and Scotland. A few days later, she jumped the flight to India for almost 2 weeks. And now she says she's going Cuba to dive down 200 feet down. You're like all over the world. It's awesome. Yeah. She definitely someone who's really enjoyed the moment. I have to say that. She's really enjoyed the moment. No fear, and definitely really experiencing life, which I mean, I admire that. Yeah. Awesome.
Well, the fear used to be death, and I conquered that. So I think that was my mission here, to figure out the
That's
fear of
the
death.
that's the biggest fear that everyone had. Even I'll tell
Yeah.
you, I can admit that myself to you. I never knew I had that kind of fear until I got COVID in 2020. But it was a physical experience that kind of got me into that feeling. And that's when I realized, oh my God, I'm actually like what you said, you were not gonna see people you love, things like that. But then after that, I actually learned to let go of that fear, you know, because of the awareness, being aware. And luckily, because we went to hypnotherapy school, it helped. I have to say, I don't know about you, but hypnotherapy helped me a lot. I was kind of depressed after the hospitalization. And then one of the friend, also hypnotherapist, realized that I began to have PTSD, which I never had it before. I'm someone who's very, very kind of like you, always positive, always easygoing. And I went like down deep. And when she brought that up, I began to like, oh shoot, there you go. I gotta shift my mind. And that's when it changed everything. Yeah. So has hypnotherapy helped you? Because you just went to school and just for fun, from what I know.
Well,
Right? I mean,
honestly, that was the first, because I'm always trying to look for the next thing, next thing. Like I feel like for me, I can't do two things for too long because I feel like I am a very fast learner. So when I learn something, I just go straight to the top. And when I'm done, I need something new for
You move to the
stimulation.
next thing. You move to
Yeah,
the next bigger thing. You climb up the
exactly.
ladder.
Exactly. So hypnotherapy school was the next thing after I finished Jose Silva Mind. And I learned a lot. Tell you the truth. Yeah, same thing as you. Hypnotherapy is basically the ability to share my meditation with others because meditation is self-hypnosis versus
Yeah,
hypnosis is
same
hypnotizing
thing.
other people.
Yes.
So it's very powerful to go in and out.
Well, that's funny because in some culture, they really misunderstood hypnotherapy. You know, they thought this is something that it can be controlled. You know, their mind can be controlled, but little did realize that also another part of the meditation. For me, using hypnotherapy is the best way for me to meditate. I use a lot of visualization, and that's when I begin to connect and talk to my higher self, you know. It's funny, one time I was driving in the car and I was talking, and they were like, people were looking at me like, wait, this is way back in the day, where we didn't have iPhone, so you're not talking. So people were like, what are you doing? They were making fun of me talking. But yeah, definitely has a lot of benefits to many people. Even Silver, I mean, the My Valley use a lot of hypnotherapy in their teaching. Yeah, interesting. So now back into your walk-in situation. Um, Jenny, what do you feel about your life right now? Do you know what you, as a walk-in, do you know why you're here? Why you
Yeah,
why you're
at
walking?
first,
What is your journey? What's your path? What you're supposed to do? Because you're talking about
okay.
if universe or God allow you to come back, you're gonna do the work that you are meant to do. Do you know what your work? What you know what you're meant to do? Hmm?
So it changes, right? I know
Yeah.
before COVID, let's start with that. It was creating heaven on earth and creating a resource-based economy. And so for a few years, I was part of the World Summit. I was part of the RBE movement, and it's all about sharing resources. Let's not talk about money and go back to like kind of not bartering, but in a sense like that, just giving and sharing, but that takes a lot of responsibility. And then
Yes.
COVID hit, and then my husband passed. It kind of took me a new journey. That is still in the back of my mind, but I feel like now, because of what I know, there's so much work to be done before that. And one thing that I've always knew is that I'm going to live to 700. Now,
You
when
do.
I tell
Mhm.
people that, people think I'm crazy. And that's part of my journey to prove to others is possible, right? So I feel like part of the reason I had to conquer death and seeing death close up is that realize that we are not invincible. Even though I am better than most people, and yet I am still not invisible, right? So I need to
Yes.
start working on it. And I feel like that was the next journey. Universe said, you said this, so you better start working on this. And I had to go through that. And then I had health issues after COVID too. And that actually took me to frequency work, which is the
Ah,
best thing that's ever happened to me because I had endometriosis and adenomyosis. After my husband passed, world shut down, I was like, universe said, you are given this special time to work on this project, which is figure out health. And so I literally got a Royal Rife machine. I started learning about his frequencies. Royal Rife started his work in the 20s. And by the 40s, he's already got cured to all diseases, including cancer, using frequency work. No, not much people know about it. I only know about it because I asked and universe downloaded that information to me. And then all of a sudden it opened a whole new energy frequency work that I was like, wow, this is actually real and has been existing. And so through meditation, and I got the Royal Rife book with all the frequencies to every single disease, I actually fixed my endometriosis and adenomyosis.
wow. You don't have to go to any doctor and pay for anything, right? Yeah. Now, this is interesting what you just shared because I think the future or the now healing modality would be frequency, lights, and sound. You know,
Herbs too.
yes, yes. so because of COVID, that's what got many people are more, I mean, I can say that their health went downhill. A lot more people now they have been poisoned, in a way. So we, a lot of humanity, a lot worldwide are really focusing on health, wellness right now. That's going to be the next thing is health and wellness. And for you to mention about the frequency, which I would like for you to come back and talk about that, Jenny. I tried out once and I'm supposed to go to her home to do more like a full, because I do want to experience that. The time that we did on a cruise, we didn't have a lot of time because you were working on a lot of people, you know. And I'm curious, I wanted to get to know about that. But what's a good thing about that frequency, that machine that she works on me, she was able to tell me that I got the stomach issue, my eyes, and there were a few things that were right on the spot, you know. So I was like, oh, just that machine, I hold on to it and it gives me this full report, you know. And we never got around to really go into detail. However, I think the next talk, I'd love to for you to come back and talk about that, get more detail. Why not? If there's such a thing as this frequency machine that can actually really help heal everyone, like what Jenny did, she healed herself. Why not sharing this with the whole world? Because one at a time, we can heal one at a time. We heal ourselves first, you know. So I think that'd be quite fascinating. So Jenny's path, she already know she's definitely a healer, and she's a healer. She does help people. Uh, Actually, you're not even charging people for what you do. You just
Yeah,
do
no.
after your time that you have, your hobby, your fun, which is like absolutely amazing, amazing, Jenny. And wow, Jenny, today has been, I had no idea what we're going to talk about really. I just said, you know what, just talk about walk-ins. And it's really a beautiful conversation. You know, I really love what we just shared today, and I think it will benefit a lot of listeners, who listen to this. I mean, first of all, walk-ins, a lot of people don't know about it. I have experienced myself, so I know, but I know a lot of people don't know. So it's funny when we met, we actually talked about that, and Mary talked about, because when Mary asked me, like, you know what walk-in is, I go, absolutely. I ran into it, and that's about the same time that you had that experience, 2011, 2012. I run into all of them at the same time, and perhaps all three types that you mentioned. That's why I understand everything you mentioned. Uh, and I figure, audience can actually experience something because you might come across with someone, or maybe some people that come across crazy to you may not be crazy. So that might be a way to give a little more compassion to people that may not come across normal to you. They may be experiencing it the other side, but didn't understand and trying to process what's real and what's not real to them. Because when you process the inner world and here, it can get confusing. It really confusing. I experienced myself in 2012 when we have that awakening time, whatever you can call that, the Mayan calendar time. I actually, perhaps it's a time that we study hypnotherapy. I studied before you, but I did a lot of hypnotherapy sessions. So I put myself in a hypnotic state the whole time. I mean, all day long. And plus, I guided meditation for free all day and night. And I was on Block Talk radio shows and I would guide free meditation. So every day, Jenny, I was on this, you call that deep theta state all the time. So I kind of experienced a lot of stuff too. And I got it was like floating all the time. I'm not here most of the time.
Yeah, like
And
discombobulated a little.
yeah, and then you get instant downloads. Totally
Yep,
is like whatever you ask, it's just like the whole movie just zip through in just one
yep,
minute.
yep.
And you understand everything, whatever you ask. So I totally, and it's crazy to share this with people because they would think you're just out of your ego, maybe thinking that you're special, you're able to have this ability. No, no, no. I think when you take your brain wave into that level, that frequency of a deep theta, that's when we all experience that, and that should be natural for everyone to experience that. Uh, but anyway, Jenny, it has been a great, great conversation today.
I
I
want
just,
to add something. I want to
yes,
add something
please,
before we go. Okay, so
please do.
you asked the question, I didn't answer it, but I remember
Okay,
it
I
now.
missed.
You
Mhm.
asked why some people can meditate and get downloads and others cannot. So this is
Yes.
something I learned after I started the whole frequency journey. When I got sick with COVID, then I got sick with RSV, and then I just started getting sick from strep throat and everything that other people are going around. What I learned is my spleen was inflamed. And once the spleen controls immunity, is like it's off, you don't have the ability to fight off pathogens and virus, then you just get sick all the time. And then I started having brain inflammation. I tell you, I couldn't meditate. And all of a
Wow.
sudden, I realized that's why people can't meditate. People that have underlying health issues that they're not aware of, people
Yeah.
who are very intoxicated with all the chemicals or pathogens, if they have brain inflammation that they're not even aware of, they have a brain tumor, they can't meditate no matter how they try. I know because I went through that. I was like, wow, this is how it feels to not remember things. This is how it feels to not connect with words. This is how it feels when you cannot meditate. This is how it works when you cannot manifest. You feel like shit. And it's all because of underlying health issues that people may not
Yes.
even aware of they have.
Yeah. And interesting because like right now there's been a lot of discussion, and this is among, I would say, many channeler and astrologer, because they have a different gift. Channeler would connect with, the unseen energy, the beings, whatever. Astrologer would connect to the star and the planet, but also their consciousness. So many of them would be saying like the same repeating words about, from now on, take care of your health. The health is very, very important right now, which is interesting that you said that. When we were on a cruise, even our astrology teacher would mention that it's about health. And she wasn't the first one I heard. I heard from many, many people. So interesting that you say that, because when we have this health issue, it blocks us from moving forward
Yeah,
on
it blocks the
our
energy.
energy. Energy totally, because meditation is one of the key really to really connect to your higher mind.
Yeah, and it
So
requires energy. So if this energy is
mm,
all blocked from pathogens and viruses, there's no downloads. And the brain
yeah,
can't even function because it didn't hit me until I was working on my dad. And my dad started to have a lot of issues. But it started about at least 5 years ago when we did a CT scan. They said something was wrong with his white matter in his brain. So there was some kind of infection already. And I've been
yeah,
trying to tell my dad to meditate, meditate. And I used to think, what's wrong with you? How can you just meditate? It's so easy. Just listen and just follow. And apparently he told me one day very honestly, he's like, Jenny, I can't. I can't meditate. I try. I can't. And I was looking, I'm thinking in my mind, why? And then all of a sudden it started happening to me. Started
and you
having
got the answer. Yeah,
inflammation.
you
Yeah.
ask,
And I was like, fuck, I can't meditate.
and you get the answer, but that answer you have to go through this health problem
Yeah, to realize,
for
okay,
what you
now we
ask.
know what to do. First, we got to detox the person, get the person back to healthy. Then we can talk about meditation.
Yeah,
See, and
that's
most
true.
people, their life is so stressed out, and stress is disease. That's why most people
Yes.
can't meditate.
Well, that's why, because it's affecting the body, and the body is a temple. Without the body, your body is like a foundation, is a base. Like if you look at the triangle, body, mind, soul, the body is like the base, the foundation. So without that, just think about when you have pain, or you cut your
Oh, you can't
fingers.
meditate.
You can't even focus on positivities, really,
It's
because you're not
hard.
happy at the moment. It's hard because your fingers throbbing, your nerve is killing you, whatever. And
Yeah,
so with that, your body is like the most important thing. And that's what I've been trying to tell my students about that too, is take care of your body. I mean,
yeah.
this morning I woke up at 3:30 a.m. just to go to my CrossFit. and it's not easy. I'm like sleepy and, it's not safe to be doing weights because I could smash that dumbbell into my top of my head, which I did that sometimes. It's just so you get so sleepy. But then I take my, physical health seriously too.
Yeah.
But
And
anyway,
exercise one of the best ways to stay healthy because all of a
it's
sudden you're
awesome.
charging your electricity. So yeah, exercise is powerful.
Exercise is one of the best. It doesn't matter what form of exercise. It can be yoga, it can be walk, it can be any body movement, tai chi or anything. I mean, look at this. I even have this sign.
I
Look,
like it. I like
right.
it. I
Just
like
tagging
it.
when the audience watch my YouTube, they can see all that. That's visual. I say, we are hypnotherapists, so we know this is what we're giving them
The
suggestion, right?
hypnosis.
Exactly, exactly. That's what it is. So,
Yeah.
anything else, Jenny, that you would like to share with the
Okay.
audience?
One
Yes.
more thing about walk-ins. So ironically, they say when death comes, it comes in a batch. So first thing I want to say for anyone who wants to understand reincarnation and walk-ins, they should watch a movie called Astro City. Have you seen it, Tina?
I heard of it. I usually don't watch any shows at all, but hey, I
Okay.
may start watching it.
Okay, you need to watch it because this will explain a lot to what this whole thing is called life and the purpose and how it comes back and goes and all the soul family
Astro
keeps on
City,
coming
guys,
back.
if you want to understand about what Jenny's talking about or walk-ins, some of you may never heard of it before. This may be very new to you, but I think more and more in the near future, there'll be more and more that we're gonna hear about it. Yeah. And so
So
this
the
is.
Astro City is more about coming back as a baby, but just to add on now that you know what it is, it can come instantly just because the
Right.
speed of ascension is much faster. But it's a good movie to watch and it's on Amazon Prime. Now, what I
Amazon
wanted to
Cap. Mhm.
yeah, Amazon Prime. And what I want to say is that so when my husband passed, within 2 weeks, my dog passes. Same
Jesus
exact thing.
Christ.
Sudden
You definitely
cardiac
went
arrest.
through a lot of crap.
Oh yeah, and then another friend died, and then our aunt died. Literally, it was boom, boom, boom.
When it
Because
rains,
they
it
were
pours. Yeah.
because they were the same soul family. And when
Yeah.
they come together, and when they leave together. That's what I learned. It's like a new chapter,
Well, leave
you
no
know.
one behind and
Yeah, exactly. They got to go together. So don't
oh
worry.
man, but that's
When you
kind of
pass,
tough
you're
for.
never alone.
Yeah. That's yeah, for them especially, yeah. Because I think that's what people feel, during the time that you have to leave, you're just alone. You're
You're not
leaving
alone.
alone. Yeah, exactly. So that's what
That
people.
was the first thing that my husband told me. He's like, when he went to the other side, oh my God, there's so much people here. And he's like, oh, I'm seeing my mom. Oh, I'm seeing my aunt. Like literally, he was telling me all this stuff. So don't be afraid because you're not alone. And
Exactly.
okay, so what I wanted to say about walk-ins, so not only walk-ins come in human beings, they come in dogs and cats and animals. So here's an interesting story that I think people should hear is so my dog dies, right? 2 weeks after. And literally he died the same exact way as my husband. Out of the blue, actually at the day of my husband's funeral, he started wobbly and
Oh wow.
my roommate said, Jenny, do you see DJ? He's wobbly, something's wrong, we need to bring him to the doctor. So the
Right.
next day immediately we took him to the acupuncturist, and at the acupuncturist he gave him acupuncture and said, oh, he's fine, he should be okay. Well, what was interesting at the reception, the guy had told me his story about his dog that passed. And he's like, Jenny, my dog passed, but I found him in a new body. As he's telling me the story, I was crying because I thought he was talking about my husband finding a new body and come back, right? What I didn't know is he was guiding me to what was about to happen. So he
Uh,
shows me a picture. He's like, Jenny, I know this lady. She talks to dog's soul and will help you find your dog's new body. And literally, as he's talking to me, I'm thinking of my husband, right? And then I said, can you give me her number? And he shows me a picture and he says, look, this is my old dog. This is my new dog. Same birthmark, same personality. And I found him because this lady told me that it would be in a city that's like within 50 miles away from my city in a litter of 11, and you'll know it when you see it. And he went and searched for him and found him. And now he goes with him to work every day. So I was like, oh, thank you. And the whole time I'm thinking of my husband, right? Well, on my way back, when we get to my husband's house, the dog starts wobbly again and he collapsed.
Oh,
And
wow.
right away, I was like, oh my God, we got to go to the emergency room immediately. And we go to the emergency room. And I hate hospitals. The vet,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to have to spend this much money. They give you a bill before every doing, you got to sign it. They're going to do blood
Ridiculous.
tests and all
Yeah.
of that. And I knew in my heart he wasn't make it because he was
Yeah.
already 17, you know, and
Oh, yeah.
and they took him in the room, and I got so mad. You see, when I deal with things that I know it's right to do, my inner warrior comes out. So I got mad. I went to them. I said, where is he? Give me a room. I need my final time with my dog, you know. And she obliged. She went, and I saw that I put my dog in the cage, and the dog was just
Mhm.
like this, half dead, breathing. And I said, get her out of here. Give me a room. And they gave me a room. And literally, I'm carrying her and talking to DJ because now I know the process of transition. So
Yeah.
something I want to guide, I guess, the listeners, if someone is going to pass over and you know it, just spend the last few moments with them and just help
Talk.
them. That process is beautiful and you'll always
Yeah.
remember it, right? And so I held my dog and I said, DJ, this was a lovely adventure. We had a great life, but please come back in a new body to find mommy. I'll be there for you. And literally, I swear to you, this is what happened. At that time, the nurse had this oxygen mask on DJ, right? Because she was hyperventilating
Yeah.
right before he died, right? And so she literally wiggled it off and it fell off. And then she started talking. All of a sudden, she got all this energy and started saying,
It's so
like for a
cute.
whole minute. And my brain was thinking, should I record this? Because this is information. And then I hear a voice say, you already know what it's saying. Don't have to record it and just enjoy
Right.
the moment. And I knew exactly what she was saying. She was saying, thank you so much. I love you too, mommy. I'll be back. Don't worry, you know. And then all of a sudden, her head fell to the side, and I knew her soul was
Left.
yanked out. It's
Yeah.
same exact, because I already had the experience with my husband. So this time I was calm and I knew
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
transition, you know.
Wow.
And you know, I wasn't really sad. I just knew we made a commitment. We made an agreement. She's coming back, right? So I remember calling that lady. By that time I had the lady's number. I remember after she passed, I called her immediately and left a message. I'm like, oh my God, my dog just died. And she called me back the next day and said, Jenny, souls take about, I think she said 20 to 30 days to regenerate. So let's reconnect at that time, and I will share with you how we can find her again. And
Wow.
so that was the time I went to Egypt, I think. And I got to, and then I started YouTubing walk-ins and dogs, and there were actually YouTube videos on walk-ins with dogs, and I'm like, wow, it works. And then sure enough,
Makes it more rare. Yes.
yes.
For animal
So
lovers, awesome.
exactly. So what happened was, here's the story continuation. When I got back, I talked to the lady, and she's like, your dog is very happy at a dog park playing with other dogs. And then she's like, I see your husband too. And I'm like,
Well,
really? I said, what is he doing? He's like, he's working on his car. He loves working on car. And ironically, 2 days before he passed, he was working on his car. He was
well,
working on his favorite Mustang. And I'm like, so I knew she was for real. She wasn't making it up, you know? Because I didn't
wow,
tell her
wow.
anything about my husband. And but what was interesting, I said, so where do I find DJ? And she's like, you know what? DJ said she will, it was a girl. She said, DJ will be wherever you choose her to be. And I said, what does that mean? Because at that time I was thinking, so should I get a big dog, a small dog, the same dog? And I said, what kind of dog? And she's like, the choice is yours. Whatever it is, it will come to you. And I'm like, okay, that goes back to trust. Okay, I'll just trust, right? And so then I started meditating. Like, I was like, okay, you DJ, let's meet. where are you gonna be? And I remember every day I would look on Craigslist, different ads, trying to find a dog, and I couldn't find it. But I realized I had too strict of a criteria. What I was doing was I was looking for a dog about a certain age, and it has to be a boy, a girl, and this and that. And I remember one day I was meditating and it said, "You missing something, go back." So then I woke up from that nap and I started looking at the Craigslist ad, reviewing all the stuff I looked, and then all of a sudden this thing popped up. And it was a dog. It was kind of blurry. And I skipped it. And I'll tell you why, because I thought it was a girl, because the last DJ is a girl. And then as I'm looking at this, I was like, it has DJ's signature energy. I can feel the energy, the way it's laughing, his mouth was open. And then also I hear a voice that, "Jenny, you're stupid. Like, souls don't have male or female, okay? Like, don't think about your whole thing about it has to be male or female. It could be anything. You got to be just allowing however it shows up to be. It will be what you want
Mm-hmm.
it to be." And then I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then like I hear a voice said, "You should call it." And literally I was in the bathroom at like 10:30 p.m. and I hear a voice say, "Just call it." I'm like, "All right, if it's meant to be, it will be," right? So I called it at 10:30 p.m. and I said, "Well," and I had a lot of criteria. I'm like, it has to be AKC. Sorry. Like it had to be AKC, like Maltese, and it had to be female. And well, it turns out it was a male. Well, I called it at 10:30 p.m. and this lady picks up and say, "Oh yeah, this dog is a boy, very healthy, very playful, exactly what I was looking for, not a lap dog, kind of loud, and AKC certified, and everything fit my criteria." And all of a sudden my heart started fluttering. I'm like, "Oh my God, this has to be it." And then she said, "You want to meet up tomorrow?" I'm like, "Yeah, what time?" She's like, 7. I'm like, "Sure." Literally 6 a.m. I'm up already because it's like meeting my loved one, like for the first time, like picking up
Yeah,
from the airport. I
yeah.
wake up at 6 in the morning and I'm thinking about it. And all of a sudden I get a text from her like 6:30. And she's like, "You want to meet now? I'm available." Like you, like it was early. And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." And sure enough, I got there, was at police station, and I just sensed the energy. It was in this red car, the only red car parking there. It was pretty beat up red car, and I was thinking, maybe these people just need money. It seemed like it was like from a bad family.
Right,
And
right.
and this guy comes out, right? And I was thinking, I thought it was a woman, but then she actually calls me and say, "Oh, it's my husband. I can't go, so he's there." And this guy literally comes out, this little cute dog, right? It's not that big, maybe like 4 pounds. He
Yeah.
flops it right on my heart. And I swear to you, that moment she put the dog on me, it's like our hearts just connected. And it was just like, oh, and I knew it was DJ. And literally that dog's name was Ram, and I spent the whole afternoon with him at the park. It was the same exact DJ. Like it had all the stuff that my last DJ had. Like by the time I called him DJ all day, he answered to DJ and he would fly to me. I didn't need to teach him how to jump or run up the stairs. He already knew everything. He was already potty trained, and it's as if my DJ came back to me. And even my sister, after a while seeing this, she's like, "Oh my God, Jenny's right. Her DJ came back to her. It's the same exact DJ, same behavior." Even there was this little pimple underneath the chin.
Yeah.
Last DJ, same place. This DJ
Oh,
had the
wow.
same. And I
That,
would I would do this experiment. I took a picture of the old DJ and the new DJ and asked my friends or whoever I meet, and I talk about this walk-in experience. I said, "Who do you think is the old DJ?" And they all picked the new DJ as if the old DJ. So
oh,
I
wow.
was like, wow, this is real stuff. This walk-in stuff is no joke.
Fascinating, even with the dog, with the animals. See, you guys?
Yes.
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 Wow. Wow, that's awesome, Jenny. Thank you for sharing that. So not only human can have
Yes.
walk-ins, but the animals can have walk-in as well. Because uh we all the same, doesn't matter. We can come into the human body or any body, really.
Yeah,
that kind of like really open up our mind about, you can't just mistreat any animals because they're just one of us.
yeah,
Yeah, we can be born reincarnated into the animal's body as well, right?
yes,
And this is why we have such a connection with the animals and they're so sensitive, just like human, you know. So you don't look at them as they're different just because they look different. Yeah. Love that, Jenny. Jenny, that was a great talk today. Wow, chock full of information we got here today with the walk-ins and the near-death experience and the meditations and the animals walk-in. I mean, how great is that? Jenny, oh, then the frequency healing, which I'm gonna have Jenny come back and talk about that. I think we're just gonna, have fun and show the audience. You guys have any question? You guys want to post any comments? Please do. Love to hear from you. What do you think about that? Have you met walk-ins before? What experience you have? Uh, are you afraid of death before that maybe you can talk to Jenny about that. Or even about meditation. You have any problems? Any question you can ask. Just go ahead and post the comments. And I appreciate that. Please do share this video because this is very unique, different, and subscribe if you haven't done so. Click like, because that's going to help with algorithm. I mean the videos that people might be benefiting from. So Jenny, girl, you are awesome. Thank you so much. You didn't even know what you're going to talk about. You allowed universe to kind of guide you, and it has
yeah.
been an amazing conversation today. Thank you, Jenny. We'll meet. Well, I mean, I'm gonna meet her in person, when she comes back from diving. Fun. But I'm gonna try that frequency machine with her and we're gonna come back and talk about that. How about
Yeah.
that? That'll be awesome. Perfect. Girl, thank you so much. Love you, guys. Love you. Yeah, and I'll talk to you guys what next video. We're gonna have fun. Thanks a lot, Jenny.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Let me we'll just end this video